Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very exciting and somewhat impromptu race between Fleury14 and Jaimien. This is their Coliseum 2 Round 1 matchup, utilizing the what is this? Shadows Ninja Star flag set. Slowly becoming a fan favorite, in my humble opinion, but we'll see what our racers do think about that. Ought to be a great match.
Wondrous, wondrous, wondrous. Yep. So it is me, the Schwantz27. I am joined by Gar, so thank you for doing the intro on that. Let's talk about the Shadows Ninja Star flag set. We got some beautiful stream graphics work. Thank you, Saberwolf. Shout out to you for making us look pretty. So, Shadows Ninja Star. We will start with Shadow, and Shadow always has throw. So we already start with a very good starting command. Since this is the Coliseum after all, you do get a reward for winning a Coliseum battle. And in this case, it's Auto Image, which is really, really nice. One of the more powerful Coliseum rewards. Auto Image will be on all of the members of your party at the start of each battle. And this includes the start of all of the tiers in the final battle. So we are not as worried this seed with Calmness Protection because we already sort of have it if you win a Coliseum fight. Everybody starts with +5 Strength and +5 Speed as well, and there is a special objective since Shadow is sort of a cold-blooded killer. If we let Sid die, we do get ourselves a high-tier item. Can you tell us, Gar, a little bit more about what else is in store for our runners today?
Yeah, so right there in the middle, you see maybe one of the biggest differences between this and, say, an Ultras League flag set, and that is no party split XP. The more people that you have in your party, the less EXP each individual member will receive as a result. So, what we've seen a lot of runners do is keep a three-man party, or even drop down to two, or sometimes even a solo party member, just so they can take advantage of that sweet ×8 XP multiplier. It's still a question, at least in my head, whether or not that's actually the best strategy, but it is a very popular strategy and one that gets results, so I'm not going to argue with it too much. Other things that we're going to have to deal with. Items don't sell for anything at all. And that is kind of a problem because there's a lot of good items in the shops and you're going to want to buy it. So we do start with a cool 50,000 gold, and we do have a nice ×10 gold multiplier, but the only way you're going to get money in this seed is to either find it in a chest or get it from random encounters. And then finally, we've got the Y NPC remove flag, which is set, so it is possible to go a little bit out of order with some checks. Most notably, you could take an early dragon if you wanted to go to World of Ruin Mount Zozo, or you could hit up the entirety of the Magitech facility. And there's no free checks. So, since we know we start with Shadow, we have at least Gal's dad's house to go and check, but that will not guarantee, or that will not reward progression. That will only be a high tier item.
Yeah, Shadow will slit his mama's throat for a nickel, so that's why you gotta go and fight some enemies if you want to get some gold here. So just as a little bit of a note, in the Coliseum 2, we are currently in the first round, and there are only 2 more matchups to go. You see here match number 7, which is this one right now, Fleury14 against Jaimien, and one later today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so I think it'll probably start very shortly after this one is over, and we'll bring that to you here on the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Twitch channel as well, is going to be Ensign Wesley, which you are very familiar with, Gar, and Jexvarok, who I am very familiar with from the first season of Ultras League, sneaking into Mega Elixir right past me. So this will be a great matchup, and obviously I am going to be watching that very intently because whoever loses that match, I will be facing off in the lower bracket in round 2. And speaking of round 2, let's talk about round 2. We have rolled the flags for the second round, and they are Setzer's Dice. Yes, so we are going to have lots of randomness in our second round matchup. Setzer's Dice. We could briefly talk about that, as the race gets started. But in case you missed the announcement on Wednesday stream, that's what we'll be up to. So, kind of looking forward to it. Although that one is going to be very seed dependent, Gar.
Yeah, if you like some randomness in your randomizer, well, Setzer's Flags might be right up your alley. It could take an hour and 20 minutes. It could take 3 hours, and we won't know until we get started.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge what is going to be a good time on that particular set because bosses are random instead of shuffled. Items are random prices in shops. There is random elemental scaling, so it's not scaled based on the element that boss is. So you could have things like, I don't know, Magimaster throwing out quakes, just as, a for instance here. So yeah, that's
throwing out ultimas.
Yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. So it'll be interesting to see as we go. So let's take a look at our runners here. In the on the left-hand side, it's got like a sky blue kind of effect to it with the waves. That is Fleury14. And over on the right-hand side, looking like a New York Knicks supporter with the blue and orange there, that is Jaimien. So let's get our runners started, and we'll see what the seed brings to us. We know we're going to start with Shadow right away, so I expect people to go to the Gao Manor. Gar, when you did your Shadow seeds, what was sort of the things that you were looking for at the beginning of the seeds?
Oh, just skeins and earrings, and if I found those two things, I was off to the races. I didn't want to worry too much about, say, physical defense, just because you're going to pick up auto image, and auto image more or less makes physical defense kind of pointless. So force armors, elemental protection in general is even more valuable here than it otherwise might be. But we may want to do some additional looting for Coliseum's sake. The more things that you have in your inventory, the more likely it is that you'll pick up something nice in the Coliseum. So, but who did I see there? I saw a Yeti and an Edgar. And right off the rip, Jaimien finding those Bolt and Fighter skins in the World of Balance Narsh shop. So, fantastic pickup there.
Yeah, you said that's exactly what you're looking for with Shadow. Lots of AoE clearing everything on the screen abilities, so that'll be really nice. Both of our runners deciding to go to World of Balance Narsh, even though we have YNPC removed. Bit of an interesting call here. We'll see if they decide to go to World of Ruin Narsh instead of World of Balance Narsh. Because remember, with YNPC remove, we can sequence break some of the things that are bound to certain characters as checks, like Lock. We could open up the Narsh treasure room and get ourselves a choice of 2 high-tier items and check out what that Curse Shield value is. So we'll see if either of our runners decide to dip back for that.
I would be surprised if they didn't, and if they didn't, it would probably be because they forgot that Y remove is on. I've done that plenty of times. So it wouldn't be terribly surprising. But I do like this play. The more shops that you check, the more chances that you've got of snagging earrings, like I said, or skeins. And shurikens as well. They're dirt cheap, and they're going to be very valuable. So
you said we had Yeti and Edgar, right? Do we know what command Edgar has? Because unlike Shadow, all of the other characters we recruit, their commands are random, except for Yeti, of course. His command is just smash.
Yeti, yeah, Hulk smash, but that's a pretty good ability most of the time. So
especially for the Coliseum, which we already had talked about earlier. The reward is auto image, so I'm expecting we'll get that as well. A little fixed dice action there for Fleury, picking up our first check of the game. We'll see if we get the Gambling Yeti or if it's something else here, as we do see Jaimien go into the World of Ruin Narsh here, just as I had talked about earlier. Meanwhile, Fleury is flying the airship over to South Figaro, Unfortunately, this is not the South Figaro that will give an Edgar discount, so that's in the World of Ruin. We'll see if he goes there. Genji Glove or Ragnarok?
Ooh, what a choice.
Yeah, you go Ragnarok, and that's what Edgar's going to do for the rest of the seed there.
Yep, sounds about right. I definitely don't hate that play, so we'll see what the Curse Shield number is here momentarily.
So normally in the vanilla game it's 255, in this it's only 14. Now 14 is a bit of a lot, so it'll depend on what we have. I usually uncurse the shield unless it's like an extraordinary number, and the characters I start with don't have forced encounter checks. We do have the Floating Continent, which does have 4 bosses plus 5 forced encounters. So if you do all of Floating Continent, that's 9 right there. So 14 doesn't look so bad if you think about it in that terms. So we'll see.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing is that unless you've got a ribbon or like a peace ring or something, you're basically taking out one of your characters, because the Cursed Shield will set a whole lot of nasty status effects on you, most notably Confuse, which cannot be removed, and Berserk. So every turn, that character will be smacking one of your dudes around a little bit. So if you have a ribbon, personally, I'm more likely to decurse at higher numbers if I've got a ribbon.
Yeah. Definitely, if you have a ribbon or a peace ring, which will negate that Confuse and Berserk, then definitely more likely to have it. The throne will not be progression, because remember, the no free progression flag is on. It is an Aegis Shield, and there is a Thunder Shield from Fleury in the basement of South Figaro, so we'll see if Jaimien goes to pick it up. So notice that Jaimien did put Edgar at the front of the party prior to coming into Figaro Castle. And there's some shurikens there at the bottom, little half-price shuriken action. So if you have Edgar at the front of your party in either of the Figaro's castles, either World of Ruin or World of Balance, or if you do it in the World of Ruin South Figaro, everything's half off. Fixed Dice in a chest, Minerva in a chest. Chests have been pretty good this seed so far, Gar.
Yeah, seems to be like a pretty rockin' start for our runners here. So if Jaimien decides to go into either of the either of the South Figaros, he's going to have a good time, and I would expect him to go there in the World of Ruin, because he's already got Edgar in the front of the party. He's got that thing weighing on his brain, and it looks like Fleury14. Okay, yep, he's going to head to Narsh. He's going to pick up his Paladin Shield and probably a Ragnarok as well.
Yeah, so we'll see if either of the runners decides to uncurse the shield. The first 10 minutes, I would say, of most World Collide seeds are just looting and shopping, kind of seeing what you got. Right now, we've got something that we know what we could do for Edgar, which is use the Ragnarok. Shadow will be probably in our party using Throw the entire match, and then Yeti Smash. So we'll see which one of our runners goes to the Coliseum first. What I've been doing in some of these Coliseum flags is if I see like an item like that Star Pendant's 385, right, I will pick it up just in case I could turn the one man's trash into another man's treasure in the Coliseum. So we'll see if any of our runners pick up some random items, but I tend to try not to sell the junk that I have in hopes of turning it into something good with the Coliseum here.
Yeah, and it's easy to do in this flag set just because everything sells for 0 anyway, so you're probably going to be a little bit of a pack rat.
Yeah, which is unusual for Worlds Collide, right? With especially what I usually tell newer runners is, hey, you can't bring anything with you, so just there's no reason to hoard as much stuff as you usually do in an RPG game. But in this particular case, you know, we want to see if we could turn anything good into the Coliseum. So here's our first look at the Coliseum. We do have a rewards menu, and we do see 120 out of the 255 possible rewards. Flame Shield for Minerva? I don't know if I want to take that one. But
I probably wouldn't. But
potion for
Elixir.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing you really want. And unfortunately, you don't get to see the random enemy with the item that you pick. But you do get to see some of the items. So that's the thing with Worlds Collide here. And thankfully, Umaro did not get sneezed away. That enemy is famous for sneezing. So
Yes, it is.
you will get the reward because technically you win the Coliseum fight, but you don't actually get the item that you bet for. So
Yeah, and in this case, it looks like he won a stout spear, so not terrific.
No.
But
you can throw it.
yeah, you can throw it. But the real prize there is the auto image, and Fleury is like, that's good enough for me. It looks like he is just going to abandon the Yeti, leave him to drive the airship.
Smart idea.
Yeah, it's not bad. The thing with the Yeti is that he tends to start with high stats in general. So like his vigor and his magic are both pretty good. So if you're looking for a character to kind of get you through the early game, normally the Yeti is your guy. But since we've got Throw and since we've got an Edgar with the Ragnarok, that's not really going to be a thing.
Yeah, especially in this set of flags with the split experience turned on. Right now, instead of dividing your experience between Shadow, Edgar, and a Yeti that you're most likely going to get rid of anyway, this is a much better idea of just saying, hey, we're going to go with just Shadow and just Edgar, and I think we'll be fine here with just the two of those. We can make it if we try.
I was thinking it.
Oh god, this is a terrible grind fight. Oh, Edgar has natural jump too, so that's very nice, because Edgar can naturally equip all of the best lances in the game. Oof. Getting the heck out of there. So the level magic enemies, they don't give any XP, they only give MP. So if you need to learn some spells, it's great to find them. Otherwise, you're not really looking for them.
I'm not looking for them even then, just because level magics are they're nasty. They cast all kinds of really horrible spells. You just don't want to mess with them. So Fleury, taking a look outside of Narsh, seeing if there's better encounters, and yes, indeed. The Gillimantis there is normally a little scary. It's got very high attack power, but we've got auto image, so not going to be terribly threatening. Jaimien, meanwhile, in the Coliseum, going to bet his Imperial Dagger for a sniper. Unsure who can equip that quite yet, but that is a pretty handy weapon. A lot of runners' favorites.
Yeah, but again, the real reward, as you mentioned earlier, is the auto image status. It definitely helps out, especially in the early going when you may not have great armor. Magic is going to hurt no matter what, but being able to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge out of the way of all of those physical attacks is really, really good. So, Fleury taking the Moogle Charm off here. We do give our runners 3 Moogle Charms at the start of the seed. So that allows you to avoid those random encounters, but you can take the Moogle Charm off and get those encounters, as we see Shadow learning Bolt 2 from that Thunder Shield. You do learn the Tier 2 element of whatever elemental shield you have. And Jaimien, meanwhile, is heading right up to the Floating Continent right away.
Bold play, and I like it. Unfortunately, the Serpius enemies aren't the greatest for experience.
Yeah,
and he is dragging along the Yeti with him, so that is a little safer. It's 3 bodies for enemies to hit as opposed to 2. But like we said earlier, you are reducing the amount of experience that each individual person's going to get. So hopefully, the 2 bosses up here are favorable, and Jaimien can get through them no problem.
Yeah, so the Floating Continent's a 3-part check. The first part has 3 forced encounters and 2 bosses. You do get a story heal in between the bosses, but this is a high-risk, high-reward play, as we mentioned, because if you can't beat either of these bosses, you've just lost all of that time on these grind fights. And it looks like Fleury is going to grab a dragon here. I didn't see what was in the Yeti cave. You can see it in the World of Balance Narsh, but I don't think either of our runners checked it here.
So we have the blue dragon here, and we have a full grip of bolt edges, in addition to a nice flare proc by Edgar there. So should go down no problem, but it can be a little bit scary because the blue dragon likes to AoE your party down with his nasty flash rains. It scales up to, like clean sweep, and he just likes to spam those over and over. So.
Yep, that is our first dragon down, and our first boss is over on the right-hand side, tunnel armor. So another thing that's weak to lightning.
Yes, indeed. And you can use Runic to absorb its magical attacks, which it won't cast because it's dead.
Yep, see you later. And so he will get a heal right before dropping down into the second boss here. Meanwhile, Fleury is going to fight the Tritox spot, which is not character gated, but can only reward an Esper an item, and then head into the Yeti cave. But we got a statue boss on the right-hand side here.
Yeah. One that you've got some personal beef with, from my understanding.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well, this is going to be an interesting set of matchups here. Yeah,
I think that Magimaster there is doable. Throw makes all things possible.
Yep. Plus the Minerva means that you probably nullify a lot of Magimaster's attacks. Unfortunately, we do not have Berserk, which is Magimaster's big weakness. Meanwhile, Jaimien is already into the second phase of Doom on the right-hand side. Yeti Smash plus Jumping Edgar.
Interesting that he's throwing shurikens, though. The Skeins would do a lot more damage. And they'll continue to do a lot more damage up until, the 40s or so.
Yeah, it depends on what the force field nullifies, because Doom is weak to fire. So if the force field unfortunately nullifies fire, then you can't really use those fire Skeins, right?
That's fair. I think he does have a little bit of bolt Skeins left, though. So
okay, there we go.
But making it through, and we see a nice magic rock with a golem esper.
That's very nice. Not necessarily as important in this seed, because we mentioned earlier there is the image status, but golem will be one of the counters to calmness in the final battle.
Yeah, so if you lose that auto image status for whatever reason, having a golem there as backup is really nice. So Fleury doing a little bit of cave diving. Going to see who or what is abandoned down here.
Yeah, we can peek what's on the ground before we go at it. If it's a character sprite, if it's a character. If it's a Magicite sprite, then it's an Esper, and that's a Strago. Grandpa asleep on the job.
Sleeping in a cave. That's... ugh.
You know what the good thing, though, is about having Strago here, is when you are done with the cave on the Velt check, you end up in World of Ruin Thamasa anyway. So you're right next to both Ebbets Rock and Burning House, two of Strago's checks. So if there's any character I'd want to find on the ground here at this spot, okay, maybe not Strago. But all I'm saying is it's not as bad as it sounds. Ooh, this is a nasty fight, too.
Yeah, good to get this one out of the way early as well. Should be doable, but the Stooges have some pretty nasty magical attacks that they can throw out.
Yeah, so there are three Stooges, Larry, Mo, and Curly. I believe Mo is the one on top, the Fire Stooge, as exhibited by his red sprite. So he will both heal and revive the other two. So he's priority number one. Or is it Curly up at the top?
It's Curly at the top. Larry
I don't know
is
my Stooges.
Larry is the blue man, and then Mo is the yellow man. Larry, fun fact, can be insta-deathed. So if you have your Dooms, your Exozones, both of those will work. I don't think we have either. I mean, I guess technically Wing Edge is instant death sometimes. But faster to just throw Skeins and be done with it.
Yeah, especially the Fire Scheme, you see it does twice as much damage to Larry because he is our Ice Stooge, and that's his weakness. And there it is. Those are the Stooges gone for Fleury. Very nicely done. Meanwhile, the Jazz Band hiding in the Hide Knights for Jaimien. This can be a potentially dangerous fight over here as well.
Oh yeah. I see a Yeti with a sword. I really like it.
The unfortunate thing is that since Yeti cannot earn any magic points, he could never do any procs with either a Ragnarok or an Illumina. So I tend to never do that for Yeti, just because of that proc non-ability, right? So
Is it the proc or is it the MP crit?
You're right, the MP crit. I'm sorry. Absolutely right. My fault.
Yeah.
I misspoke.
Nah, no worries. But the short of it is that you don't want to get Umaro the stick normally, unless you've got a bunch of sticks and everybody else is carrying a stick. So.
And that's Carbuncle, Esper number 2 for Jaimien. So he is in the progression lead right now with 2 pieces of Magicite and his 3 characters, versus Fleury just has his 4 characters. But he does have a dragon. So technically, both of our runners have 5 pieces of progression when it comes to terms with what the scaling of the enemies are, right? They're both 5 times 2, which is 10, plus half of 5, which is 2.5. So both of our runners are now scaled up their enemies to levels 12, 13, something like that. So,
yeah.
Ooh, Jaimien must not have a way to clear that poison status, so one of his characters is essentially going to be dead. And I think that's Umaro, so maybe this isn't a bad thing anyway, but he probably wants to get the Ragnarok off of Umaro before the Yeti just falls over.
Yeah, probably. But Leaf or Darkwind is kind of a funny encounter. So Fleury, like you were alluding to, Schwantz, going right to Ebbett's Rock. It's right there. There's no reason not to go.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. I'm, I guess, an Ebbett's Rock apologist, because it never seems to take as long as people think it does, but at the same time, when you're getting 1 coral in a chest every time, that's sort of a feels bad moment.
Oh, for sure. And then once you've got all your corals and you're just hopping on the teleporters, hoping to go to the hungry chest, it can feel annoying, but normally it's, your typical 3 to 4 minute check.
And we'll see. So you can actually YMPC remove that little star on the ground to get past this boss, but I don't know if we mentioned this or not, but there is a Kefka Tower skip that will allow you to skip right to the statues, and that requires you to kill 12 bosses. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I can get this reward without having to fight this boss, but that also means I don't get 1 towards my boss counter for getting the skip. It is Ifrit Shiva. We don't have any ice, which is what the weakness of Ifrit is. We do have some fire, though, in terms of fire skeins, so if Shiva makes an appearance, then we could burn her to death pretty fast.
Yep. But looks like a fixed dice jumping Edgar and then Shadow throwing shurikens. More than enough to clear out the boss. So that's 1 more boss down for Jaimien, and Floating Continent 3 is guaranteed progression, so we'll see who or what this is.
It's not a character from the Merchant Sprite, so that means it's another Esper, so that is a 3 for 3 Espers up on the Floating Continent. Not bad, if you ask me. With the no free progression flag on, you're likely not to see a lot of dead checks. I think there's 2 or 3
I believe
total.
There's 3, yeah.
So let's see what the boss here is at the end of Ebbett's Rock, and it looks like Jaimien is going to go start to do some Edgar stuff here. And choo-choo, it is the Ghost Train. Strago does not have Blitz. He's got X magic, so we're not going to see any train suplexes here, unfortunately.
What a shame.
I don't think this this Phantom Train's going to last very long, though, even with Evil Toot.
Yeah. Ooh. Edgar doing almost 2k there with that swing, and we're very early in the seed, so...
Yeah, I didn't see what the Esper... Well, I saw what the first two were. I didn't see what the third Esper was there for Jaimien, if it has, like, a Strength Plus bonus on it or not. So Jaimien is at 4 bosses at the moment. Fleury, this is going to be his second boss. And we'll see what the reward is here. If he darts out of the cave, then we know it's a character. It's not, it's Crusader.
Crusader.
So that's his first Esper on the board there, Gar. A little Cure
and
2.
It's okay. Yeah, I don't hate Cure 2, and we haven't seen Katana Soul yet, so that metal could come in handy, but you really want, some offensive juice there.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you get a seed where there is no cure magic, and neither one of our runners seem to have picked up any anti-venom. They're both just garbling up our screens here. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna go lay down for a little bit now. My head's starting to hurt.
I'm gonna talk to Jones or Franklin, and I'm gonna request a poison flag be added to, like, permanently give the seed those visuals.
Oh dear lord! I was hoping you would go the opposite way. So you're one of those people that never removes the flashes either, huh?
Oh, I don't like the flashes.
Okay.
But right. the garbles, I don't know. I could deal with those more or less okay.
Yeah. To me, the garbles are worse than the flashes, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. My friends all make fun of me because I don't use dark mode on things. They're like, how are your retinas? I'm like, oh, they're seared. Nice and crispy. So it looks like we have both Jaimien and Fleury heading down to do the Edgar path of checks. We did see the Figaro throne already from one of these runners, and it was an Aegis Shield. Since it is a free check, it won't be an Esper an item, Esper or a character anyway. It's got to be a high tier item. So we're going to fight one boss down at the tentacle spot, and then we have a decision to make about Ancient Castle. Yes, there is a dragon down there, but there is no boss down there, which means it's a long way to go to not increase your boss count for the skip.
In this instance, if I'm Jaimien, I am much more likely to do it than Fleury, but I also think that Fleury is very likely to go and do Ancient Castle. If you're already here, so basically, if you don't go do it now, you're basically never coming back unless you're 100% forced to.
Yes. So it is our boy Ultros. Ultros 1. Look at those chompers. Somebody get him a dentist.
The spaghetti.
Oh, so that's why his teeth are all yellow. It's just stains from the spaghetti. I got it. Understood.
Yeah.
It all makes sense now.
Like, it's just the uncooked pasta noodles, but he puts them, like, in his upper lip like you used to do when you were a kid, or like I do when I'm an adult.
What's the matter? You don't have a linguine mustache?
Oh, I put that on there, too. A couple pieces of tape. Hold it up.
Alright, that is the Zone Seek Esper. That has Osmos and Meteor. Alexander has also Meteor and Bio, so in case we run into Fun Baba. Or Spicy Chicken, that might be nice. Fleury easily dispatching of Ultros as well. And both of our runners have a decision to make about Ancient Castle, but I'm with you, Gar. This is one of those instances where you need to do the engine room before opening up Ancient Castle. However, you are never going to be closer to doing the Ancient Castle than you are right now. And with Y remove, it's actually a little bit better because you could save yourself a cutscene. You can Y remove the doors that are blocked when the castle's actually submerged. So you can shortcut out of the Ancient Castle without having to go through the animation of coming back from Coliseum. So it's a little bit more palpable in this seed.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't even think personally to do that myself. So learn something new every day.
There you go.
Fleury picking up his Aegis shield from the Figaro throne. And Jaimien is, in fact, going to head down to the ancient castle.
Yeah, I think this is smart. I wish either one of our runners would have checked. Usually when I have Umaro, I always go up and check what the what his reward is, because I like to know if there's a character up there. Okay, I need to go there sooner rather than later, right? Because the more characters you get, the more parts of the world are open to you. But as far as we know, right now, the only character is in the Cave in the Veldt with Strago. We don't know what's down here in the Ancient Castle, and we don't know what's in the Yeti Cave because of that Magimaster at that Tritok spot.
Yeah, and that Magimaster is very, very rude. So we may, unfortunately, be in a situation where it is guaranteed that you have to kill Magimaster to get further progression. So hopefully that's not the case. And we do find Gogo. So, that's definitely one of the characters that exists in Final Fantasy VI.
I'm glad you had glowing things to say about Gogo. With Throw, though, I love Gogo. So I would have immediately put Gogo in my party, because Gogo can mimic anything that gets thrown, and it doesn't use it from the inventory. So Throw Go, as I affectionately call it, is one of my favorite strategies.
Oh yeah, I think Throgo is totally viable. And it's nice because you're guaranteed to get Throw in this flag set. So I think if I'm Jaimien in this spot, I would probably sub out Umaro for the Gogo. I definitely don't go to four party members in this situation. Although I think there are potentially situations where I would do exactly that.
Oh, a little vanilla action. Hey. You were talking about Muddle, right?
Obligatory is this even.
Yeah, so that's the first dragon down for Jaimien. And Katana Soul is at his vanilla monster in a box spot, so we will get an offering, which we do have multiple fixed dice. I think we have 2, or do we just have 1?
I thought I only saw the one from the Figaro Castle.
Somebody says 2 in the chat.
Apreb says 2.
Yeah, so this is why we love you guys in the chat, because it's better than our 4 eyes, and in my case, I have glasses, so they're like 3.5 total. Yeah, so Jaimien is noping out of the Ancient Castle, not even bothering to check the monster in a box, and ouch! That is a flying bird.
There are so many abilities in Worlds Collide that I hadn't seen until I started playing it, or in FF6, excuse me. So that Cockatrice ability, for example, I cannot remember if I've ever seen that in the vanilla game. But I think it's normally attached to one of the dance moves.
Yes, that's correct. So it is on one of Mog's dances. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of enemies that are immune to, or susceptible rather, to petrify. So it's kind of a worthless dance move, right? It does do a lot of damage, but
it only does the damage if the enemy is vulnerable to petrify. Otherwise, it'll just miss.
Yep. So Jaimien is out of the Edgar loop. My least favorite set of checks in the game, but in this particular instance, it makes total sense because you're right there after doing the Ancient Castle, and we'll see where he decides to go. If he's going to go up to do the Yeti stuff, or is he going to move on to something else? And it looks like he's going to move on to, and now for something completely different, Monty Python. He's going to go, looks like in sequence break here into Mount Zozo.
Yeah, so one of the problems, and I put problem here in quotation marks, is that this isn't currently in the logic. So what I mean by that is, say you only have 1 check left, like according to your character gating. If you need a character and you haven't done that check yet, then that check will be a character. But if you use Y remove to go into, say, Mountain Zozo, well, this isn't guaranteed to be progression. It could be anything. It could be a wild card. So That said, I don't hate this.
It is truly out of logic, if you think about other randomizers, right? There is usually it's with key items, there's a logic to, well, you need key item Y in order to get key item Z. So if you go get key item Z without Y, you sort of sequence break it. And this is similar to that, where it is a sequence break due to the character gating algorithm that Worlds Collide has. So this could be anything, and it looks like he's taken another dragon here. So dragons will give a ton of XP, will give you 50 MP, will drop their vanilla reward plus a high tier item. However, they also do increase the scaling by 2.5 levels. So this check, Mount Zozo, you get both the dragon and your progression or your reward. So this check increases enemy levels by 5 instead of the normal 2 for a check. Same thing with Ancient Castle here, as we see Fleury leaving Gogo on the bench to take on the Ice Dragon here. Dun, 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 dun. And the offering fixed ice there, making quick work of that Ice Dragon.
Yeah, it just goes to show you the power of fixed ice. Ooh, and a reset. Did he save before he did the dragon? I did not see.
Yeah, unsure. I mean, there is a save point right there, so I'm guessing so. Yes.
Okay, good.
So he decides, I'm not going to do this dragon after all, which is odd because it's a gold dragon, and I know we picked up a Thunder Shield and we have a Minerva, but I don't know who can wear that Minerva.
Yeah, it's possible that nobody can use the Minerva, and I think that Edgar has the Thunder Shield equipped, so he's more or less safe from anything that the Gold Dragon can do. But
yeah, so a little debate in the chat going on about what is the best strategy here in the Shadows flag set where there is split XP. I go with 3 party members just because you do kill things faster with 3 than 2, obviously, but then you also get less XP per battle. And it's just a matter of, I do a lot more grinding in the beginning of the seed to make up for it towards the end. So it's a little bit of a slower, earlier game. And you could drag some of those later characters because they join at your average level. So you could drag those characters up. That being said, you could still do the same with 2. Right? Because if we're talking in terms of purely XP, if you only run with 2 characters, each character gets XP times 4, versus 3 characters is XP times 2.6 repeating, and then 4 characters is XP times 2, right? So clearly, there's a much better advantage of using 2 versus 3, and in this set of flags, you know that Shadow with Throw is going to be one of your 2, and that's a pretty powerful thing. So it's a bit of a risk reward here. Gar, what do you think?
I think I'm mostly on the same team. I try to stay around 3 for flag sets like this. If my characters are exceptionally weak, I will probably just take my best 2. If I have a suite of really strong characters, on the other hand, I am more inclined to just keep a full party.
Yeah, so we did see in one of the other Coliseum matches, one of our runners decided to just use Shadow alone. So he would get XP times 8. So his Shadow was really, really buff. And then his character would be joining at that much higher of a level. Unfortunately, you're still left with level 3 meat shields. Now, if you could raise them up by their bootstraps behind you, right, with just the one powerful character, then you don't have to worry about leveling up your other 2 meat shields. And, as with all things Worlds Collide, the answer is always it depends. What does the seed give you? As you said, Gar, if your starting characters is Shadow plus 2 garbage characters, then maybe taking only 1. If it's Shadow plus, only 1 other good character. Like, for instance, in this particular flag set, we started with Edgar, Shadow, and Umaro. I would have left the Yeti on the bench, other than to do, the Coliseum very early on. Oof. Shadow getting bullied there,
I think I agree with that play. And a fun fact, by the way, about those hippocampus enemies, they are undead. So you can Phoenix down them and revivify them and all that good stuff. And that'll get around the nasty and long, like clean sweep or
Yeah.
flash rain counters.
So Fleury checking out the World of Ruin to Zen, $55,000 thief item. Checking in the World of Balance, it's only a $10,000 Esper. So he picks it up. That's number 3 for him. So
and
we'll see.
Jaimien, heading up the cliffs, he's gonna run into his Magimaster here momentarily.
Yeah, that's quite unfortunate. He's gonna have Yeti trying to body slam things. He does have Edgar with jump. He'll have to use the fixed dice to cut through Magimaster's extremely high physical defense. And he's got throw, so this is doable. It's just a matter of A, will Yeti behave, and B, can he survive long enough? And there's Berserk actually on that Ramu Esper from the Tizen Thief. So Fleury going to learn that and presumably going to go back up at some point to take on this Magimaster here.
Oh yeah. Fleury also has the fixed dice offering combo, so he is in even more of a good position to take down the Magimaster.
Yep, very nice. We do see Jaimien changing out that Pearl Lance for that set of fixed dice, so we'll see if he could make it through this Magimaster gauntlet here. And oh!
Oof!
Yep. Fleury, meanwhile, is heading on the fast track to the floating continent, so he's going to end up with 6 Espers after this is all said and done, so it'll probably take him about, like, 7 or 8 minutes here on the floating continent, and Jaimien get a really nice dice roll with his first jump, 5,400. We'll see if the second one takes down the Magimaster. And you know what? Unlike in regular Seeds, it's not that big of a deal that he's got dead characters on his screen. That just means Edgar is going to be better off. Unfortunately, I think this will be a reset here, unless he's got a Thunder Shield.
He does have a Thunder Shield on,
Whew.
so
there it is.
He's getting very lucky with these abilities that he's using.
Oh wow!
These jumps are okay, but if you're Jaimien, you've got to be feeling like really uncomfortable right now. Like, hopefully you can just keep getting up into the air as quick as possible, and then if you're forced to be on the ground, that he uses thunder abilities.
Yep, can't hit what you can't see. So what Magimaster will do is he'll take up to 2 casts per turn, and this is going to be a wipe here.
And that'll be it for him.
So for it's usually of one of the 3 main elements, right? Either thunder or fire or ice for the first couple of turns. Then the 4th turn, he'll cast perhaps Bio or perhaps Doom or perhaps Mute. So that's the turn where if you have like something like, for instance, a Minerva or one of the elemental shields, that's the turn you're going to have to look out for, because he starts to do a little fun stuff with non-elemental things. And Jaimien gets knocked down, but he gets back up again.
Yeah, you're never going to keep Jaimien down for sure.
Yep, so more terrible music puns, and Fleury is going to cruise past this this set of 2 fights here with Tunnel Armor. And hiding in the Hide Knights might be a little bit more difficult, because he does have the offering fixed dice, which does not allow him to target damage, but it still does a lot of damage, and he's got fire skeins, so I don't think it'll be that big of a problem here.
Starting off the round 2 of Magimaster strong with a nice body slam by Umaro.
Yeah, unfortunately, Umaro acts on his own. Otherwise, what the advice I usually give is throw your hardest hitting elemental spell at Magimaster in round 2, just because he will end up blocking it afterwards. And unfortunately, that was an elemental weapon that was thrown at Magimaster, and it healed him. Yeah, meanwhile, it's Doom. I forgot it was floating Doom first. And then a Hide Knight's a second, right? So,
a nice proc there by Umaro. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, Umaro has surprisingly a lot of magic power. I think in the vanilla game he's 3rd highest, which is like a weird trivia question you could ask.
Unfortunately, Jaimien not quite getting the dice rolls that he was getting last time.
Yeah, that's what happens when you rely on fixed dice. They could be a boon or bust.
Where is Boo?
And there's a quad nines there on the left hand side. So that's the dice rolls that Jaimien is hoping for. And that is sit down, Shadow, sit back down, Umaro.
Yep. So we're back to full jumping.
Yeah, this feels bad because you've walked all the way up to the top of Narsh, right? It's one of those things where Fleury did have to get rebuffed and warp out, and that feels terrible. But at the same time, you could only run your head against the wall so many times before you go, darn, I got a headache.
Yeah, that's true. And Magic Master doesn't have a lot of HP,
Ooh.
but because you're only able to hit him with certain things at certain times, and because of his just insane offense.
Yeah, the thing is, the programmers of Final Fantasy VI did their homework when they were going with Magic Master. He has really high evade, really high physical defense if you somehow manage to hit him, and his wall change that takes place every turn will nullify 6 elements, absorb 1, and then be weak to 1. So really what you want is non-elemental or defense-ignoring stuff when you're going up against Magic Master. And the defense-ignoring stuff has to be stuff that you could actually hit him with. So Atma Weapon is defense-ignoring, Valiant Knife is defense-ignoring. However, his high physical evade means you'll swing and miss more times than you'll hit. So things like Fixed Dice, unfortunately, for some members of our community that are fixed dice haters, is one of the better, more effective tools against Magic Master. So Jaimien decides twice is enough. I'm getting the heck out of here. Also, gonna put Yeti on the bench, so we'll see if this will be better off for him to get more XP onto his party members. Because Fleury on the left-hand side, I just saw his levels are 24, 26. Jaimien's are 21, 20. So Fleury with a slight edge in terms of levels, even though progression is about the same here, Gar.
Yeah, and it looks like Jaimien is going to do the wide remove trick for Magitech. I'm curious to see if he's going to go all the way, and I would be very surprised if he doesn't.
Yeah, especially with 4 characters. We know that the Umaro check is sort of a roadblock right now for both of our runners with Magic Master at Tritalk. I don't necessarily know if anybody is jumping up and down to go to Zone Eater. And Jaimien has done all of Edgar's stuff and all of the floating continent. So the only thing that's left for him is the Cave on the Veldt, which we know is Strago, or Kefka at Narsh, which, you know, he already just trekked up World of Ruin Narsh. I don't know if he wants to trek up World of Balance Narsh.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be tempted, like, if I don't see a character at the end of this, I'm tempted to go up World of Balance Narsh.
Those Soul Dancers don't play. They will throw things at you, and throw is just as powerful on enemies as it is on Shadow.
Yep. Oh, Shadow, that might have been the wrong play. Because the Mithril Knife is going to put you on the floor. Yep.
Well, hopefully Jaimien decides to put his Moogle Charm on. This time, I think it was on Yeti, so that's what happened. That fight caught him off guard. So, a little bit of a roadblock here for Jaimien. This will test the resolve of our runner here if he starts panicking or if he dusts himself off and tries again, Aaliyah. That's a 3rd music reference this stream. We'll see how many we get by the end. Meanwhile,
I think that all Jaimien wants is another baby, another like good encounter to get some levels up. Sorry, that was ham-fisted. I'll make the next one better.
Yep. It's all right. Now that it's, Christmas time here, there's a lot of Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas going around, so I'll accept it.
This is the nice time of year where Michael Bublé comes out of his hibernation, sings some Christmas songs, and then if he sees the Shadow, we get like 8 more weeks of winter or something.
Well, it seems like we're getting 8 more weeks of Christmas music earlier and earlier in the year, and bah humbug, I hate it. Uh, Fleury getting yeeted off of the statue of the gods or whatever that is up there. Meanwhile, this is not a fun fight on Jaimien's screen, but if he gets past it, that's a lot of XP.
Yeah. Fortunately, blocking both of the Brain Blast there. Brain Blast sets Confuse on party members, and the Enoch can also cast Cold Dust.
Best be frozen.
You'd best be frozen. Gets to it fine. Gets a cool 11,000 EXP for his efforts.
I think we should for like a Christmas seed, instead of having you best be frozen, it should just say, "Baby, it's cold outside," and just boom. All right, we'll see if Fleury decides to why remove this boss or take it. Meanwhile, Jaimien has figured out his level situation. Nope, he just removes the boss there, so that'll be something to ask him about maybe later on. And all of a sudden, Fleury has now surpassed Jaimien with his 6th Esper. Very nicely done on the floating continent. Time-wise, I think I was about right with saying 8 minutes. It was actually 7 because he decided not to take that third boss. And we'll see where he goes next. Maneuver.
Because Fleury knows where Magimaster is, so there's only a handful of things that are really terrifying at that spot, and maybe he's just scared that he'll run into like a Doom Gaze or a statue boss. So I don't know.
He's got 6 bosses already, so depending upon what the rest of his route looks like, you really only need to get to 9 for some skip trickery. So with 6 already, maybe he decides he's going to go to the not floating continent, Magitech, and that's 4 bosses, so that gets you to 10. So we'll see what he decides to do here, and he's in the wrong world for Gogo. Okay,
I think he was just landing to save.
Okay, there it is. So we got our first look at Magitech here on Jaimien's screen, which is out of logic, and we got our first look at Zone Eater here on Fleury's screen. So predictions in the chat. How many bridge throws are we going to see? I think we're going to just see 1.
You know what? Fleury is a good player. I know that he does a lot of free enterprise, and he seems to be a pretty terrific Worlds Collide player as well. So I'm going to go 0. I don't think that he is going to get thrown off 1 bit.
All right. Meanwhile, we do have a little French vanilla action on Jaimien's screen. This is number 128.
I don't know why this guy's up here. He's supposed to be at the end of a minecart ride.
And
so, fun
yikes.
fact.
Well, I'm sorry. I was going to say, even though I predicted 1 bridge throw, I did not predict multiple demis here. This is ick.
Yeah. So something that I learned from the very esteemed Double Down is that if you cast magic on the Zone Eater, he will counter with Engulf.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. That was it blew my mind. Because there are so many seeds where he'll just sit there and dimmy over and over again.
It sounds like, you're singing the Mario Underground theme. Demi.
Only casting Demi.
Wow, see, you learn something new every time you watch a Worlds Collide seed. That is the Bahamut Esper for Jaimien there at the first part of the Magitech factory. We'll see what it's got on it. A little Bolt 3 flare action. Very nicely done.
Yeah, not bad. I do wish that the multiplier was higher on that Bolt 3, though. Only at a ×1, so might take a little while to get it.
Yeah, leave it on 1 character and you're good to go.
Fleury getting to 0 bridge throws. So gonna make it through this no problem.
Alright, so we do, it's like Candyman. Say his name and he appears. Double Down clarifies.
Yeah, only 1 in 3 for the counter, but yeah, it is a lot better than watching the Demi spam. So no character there, unfortunately for Fleury. So we'll see what he decides to do. He is, in my opinion, very capable of taking on that Magimaster with that offering fixed dice combo.
Well, he's
But
also learned Berserk on more than one character too. So
yeah, if he's got Berserk, then Magimaster is free. So then I wholly expect him to go back up the mountain and take care of that.
yeah, it looks like that's where he's headed now. Meanwhile, everybody's favorite goose-necked, flying, kicking enemy, Dataluma, is boss number 2 here in the Magitech Factory. I assume Jaimien is going to go all the way to the end, because he could not only get some levels, but also fights 2 more bosses to add to his total. And let me do a quick count of how many bosses he has. That's 4, 5... 6, 7, and then the 2 at the end would be 8, 9. So he'll be at 9 after the Magitech Factory.
Yeah. Jaimien taking down the Dataluma there, but I didn't see what the reward was for that.
It was an Esper that teaches Merton, and we have a couple of Thunder Shields. We had the option of uncursing the Paladin Shield. We got a Minerva, so ow. We might have the the tools for Merton, and it looks like he is going to continue. Everybody hold on to your hats for some Mode 7 goodness here with the Minecraft ride. Minecraft ride? Minecart ride.
Minecraft ride. It's got about the same graphics as Minecraft, you know, so Minecraft just casually ripping off of Final Fantasy VI.
There you go.
No big deal.
All right, well, this is the 4th Magimaster attempt between our 2 runners. Magimaster's so far 3 for 3, and we'll see if Fleury can take him down here. I, like you had mentioned, fully anticipate this will be fine, both with Berserk and Fixed Dice Offering.
So Magimaster is a very interesting boss because he's one of those that dies when his HP reaches 0.
I mean, all bosses die when their HP reaches 0? Did you mean MP or?
No, I did not.
I said what I said. Well, he doesn't have the flash death animation. He just keels over. And
yeah, he just goes through,
yep.
And then that's it for him.
Yep. There we see that high physical evade. Shadow swinging a whiff there. Magimaster does also die when he runs out of MP, so you could use Rasp over and over again if you feel like fighting this fight for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and there's a handful of bosses that actually do that, and some that you may not expect. Atma Weapon, for example, he will also die when you run out of MP.
But considering that you do, you know, triple or even 4 digits worth of damage each turn versus only 2 digits worth of MP damage each turn. Oh, yikes. And this is Guardian on the minecart ride, opening up with a launcher. Yick.
Ugh. And this is probably going to kill Magimaster here on Fleury's side.
So we'll see what this reward is. It's going to be either an Esper or an item. And then we'll see what the Yeti Cave probably rewards, because that's the next spot to go. So, big advantage so far, and that is Magicite number 8 for Fleury. So he's looking for just one more character and one more Esper for go mode here.
Fleury not taking any chances, gonna go back and save, yeah. And I do not blame him one bit.
Yeah, because you actually can tell what the reward is at the Yeti check, but you cannot back out of the reward once you say yes. It'll ask you, do you want to do etc. Touch the carving for a character, remove the Magicite for an Esper, remove the item for an item, and you don't know exactly what that item or character or Esper is until you say yes. And the only way you could back out after you say yes is to reset. So you can sort of peek what's here, but saving definitely helps. I think, as you said, the better impetus for saving is, I really don't want to fight Magimaster again.
Yeah. Because there are any number of of scary bosses that are remaining down here. So if he runs into one of those, a poltergeist, for example, you know, it's not going to be very pleasant if he wipes. So yeah, definitely don't mind the safety save here.
Yeah, so we don't. I don't know if we have stop or not, which would be our easy way out of Poltergeist. We also have not seen Goddess yet or Doomgaze, but we have seen Doom, one of our statue bosses, earlier as part of the Floating Continent. So we've seen some pretty nasty bosses already, hiding in the Hyde Knights. So, and it looks like we got a character. We'll see which one comes down the stairs like a banana in pajama. And meanwhile, that is the Madeline Esper.
Big Stompy Moogle.
Mm.
And you spoke it into existence.
Commentator curse right there. It is Goddess. Thankfully, we do have some nice weapons here. Fixed Dice actually goes through Love Token, and so does Throw. So I think we'll be okay here.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Meanwhile, we got a Vanilla Cranes.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's actually kind of rad. That's one of the bosses I haven't seen in that spot other than the vanilla game, so that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, so the background, this particular background, you could also see in Floating Continent #1, but yeah, also the vanilla spot, and that's Niles and Frazier dealt with pretty easily, the Cranes. So Jaimien has got 4 characters and 8 Espers, so he's got to head to the cave on the Veldt, or he's got to get past Magimaster. And it might be the case that Magimaster is guarding the entire seed. Because, yeah, we don't know what's behind Burning House or Fanatic's Tower, but if those are both Espers and not characters, then that is where our progression is.
Absolutely. And we don't have a lot of great magic if, in fact, we have to go to Fanatic's Tower. So, Jaimien, in something of a pickle here.
Yeah, we did all the things that we could sequence break that potentially has characters in Rut-Row.
Uh-oh.
Hold on to your horses, folks. Well, it looks like Jaimien's having some technical difficulties, so we'll do what I can do to switch off here and bring you the good stuff. There we go. Looks like Jaimien heading down to Zone Eater, so he will get another Esper, but not what he's looking for here, unfortunately. Fleury, meanwhile, needing only 1 Esper, is heading to Magitech Factory, and this is a smart move here, Gar.
Oh, yeah. Magitech 1 and 2 can only reward characters, or excuse me, can only reward items and Espers. So, given that there is no free progression on, it is very, very, very likely that Fleury would get an Esper, and we know what the rewards are. So this will work. But yeah, fantastic play. Jaimien, I'm gonna predict is also gonna take 0 knocks.
All right. I'm going to say 1 just to be contrarian. But we'll see how it goes here. Oh! Hate it. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
That dude is way far enough away. He's got the long arm of the law. He does get an ice shield down there, though. So that's good for our Merton protection. Or if you need to in a pinch, a max damage Ice 3 spell. Meanwhile, a multi-part boss on Fleury's screen with number 128, which would normally be a problem for Fixed Dice offering, but he's just putting out so much damage that it doesn't matter.
And double bolt 2 here should finish him off.
As with most mechanical bosses, weak to both water and lightning. So, pretty easy. Easy does it there. And this will put Fleury in go mode. He will have 9 bosses after this, so we'll see if he continues to take on additional bosses, or if he's going to go into Kefka's Tower, overload the middle party, march all the way up the middle, and then get to skip when he gets to the Poltergeist statue position. Meanwhile, Jaimien gets his 9th Esper, so he's in character mode now. So, slight edge to Fleury here in this race, but anything could happen in a Worlds Collide seed. Especially, Jaimien has, let's see, 4, 8, 9... He's got 9 bosses under his belt right now, and he needs 2 more characters. So, he could easily make it to 11 or even 12, depending upon how his routing shakes out.
Looks like he is going to go to World of Balance. And is he going to check Narsh? Looks like it.
Yeah, he's going to unfortunately see Mog up in the Yeti Cave. But if I were him, I would continue onward into Kefka at Narsh and see if you get lucky with a character there. And then reset out if it's not a character.
Yeah, agreed. So Fleury, it looks like he did overload that middle party, which is party 3. That is the party that typically goes up the middle path.
Yep. So yeah,
you can, like, if you're a freak, you can go with party 1 to the right side first, which will mean that party 2 goes up the middle, but no one ever does that, Ensign Wesley. So
yeah, I really like this move from Jaimien here. Good heads up knowledge of the rando to know I could peek the Umaro check. Oh, and it's Sabin up at Kefka at Narsh.
Very, very highly rewarded here.
Yeah, so now we have an interesting call. Does Jaimien bounce his head off of Magimaster a few more times, knowing that Mog is behind the Yeti spot? Or does he do some of Sabin's peekable checks, like the Phantom Train, like the Imperial Camp? What would you do in his shoes here?
I think I would head down Sabin's route. Jaimien has Throw, and Throw is really good, and Throw can normally get through Magimaster with the appropriate elemental protections, but Jaimien doesn't quite have that. So I am much more inclined, if I were him, to go and do Sabin checks, and I would probably start with Phantom Train. There's a boss at the end of it, the reward is peekable right from the start.
Yep, and we'll see. Oh, Rutro.
Well,
it is Doomgaze, so this boss is not in the Fanatic's Tower. We did see Welk, which is one of the easier bosses in that first spot here. And it looks like Fleury is going to be marching that overloaded party through the rest of Kefka's Tower, up that middle path, to take on 2 more bosses, so he'll get to 12 overall, and then he'll warp out to split his party up to fight left statue, right statue.
Oh, I don't think that Jaimien is any real danger here. The biggest problem is that Doomgaze is a fat sack of hit points.
Yeah.
And he's got some pretty beefy defenses as well. We did see, like, Throw ignores defense, which is great. We did get that a Pearl proc earlier, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, Edgar jumping with the Pearl Lance, which is one of Doomgaze's weaknesses, is really nice here. He's got high physical and magic defense, but Throw ignores defense, and that Pearl Lance will do twice as much damage to Doomgaze because of his elemental weakness, so this shouldn't be a problem. In Worlds Collide, unlike in the regular vanilla game, Doomgaze doesn't run away, so really the fact that he has so much HP is because you have to fight all of those 4, 3, however many battles you fight against him all at once here. And it looks like Jaimien does get past, will pick up his Sabin for his 5th character. We'll see what Sabin has on him. Does he get added to the party with Runic and awful gutter tier magic? It doesn't look like it. So
it doesn't seem so.
Still running with a party of 2. Be interesting to see if he decides to add his last character, whomever it is, to his party, because as we mentioned with Kefka's Tower, you have to divide your team into 3 parties. So usually you want to have at least one decent character in each party here in the tower. You can get around it with some trickery, as we were talking about here with Fleury, doing the middle with his full party. Then you can divide to the left and right for your other characters. So we'll see what Jaimien decides here, because he's up to, I believe that's his 9th boss? No, that's his 10th boss.
10th, yeah. So the play that Fleury's doing right now is, I think, the pretty standard play for the Coliseum flag sets. There's a number of advantages to it. Most notably that you get to kill 3 bosses with your whole party, so you get that EXP bump. And it's a lot safer than just, splitting up your good people between all 3 parties. So I personally go for this route. I really like it. There are some flag sets where that's not really possible, just depending on how the seeds shakes out. So Setzer is the perfect example there. In Setzer's flags, you can get duplicate bosses, which do not count towards your boss kill count. So,
yep, I learned that the hard way when I was trying to fudge the Phantom Train boss. I did the normal Phantom Train boss, and then I went back in to do Ghost Train, and I'm like, wait, I already fought Ghost Train. This doesn't count, and of course I wasted some time. So that was fun. Jaimien rejoices to see Strago napping on the floor, so that's going to be his go mode here. Meanwhile, it is Fun Baba at the statue spot in the middle here. One thing to note about what you were talking about, Gar, with doing your full party up the middle, is it just takes a lot longer because you have to walk through the entire dungeon. It is a lot safer because you divide your party up into 2 instead of up into 3, but it is at the cost of a few minutes of walking time.
That's true.
However, you can sort of make that time up by killing the other bosses faster, right? So it's one of those things where it might all just balance out in the end. This is going to be a much tougher fight on Jaimien's screen because of how much higher levels the Stooges are here, and he's only got 2 members in his party versus, I think, Fleury did this with 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did it with 3, and he did it a lot earlier, so those abilities were scaled significantly less. So Jaimien, if he kills this, hey, look at that hero ring from the meme chest.
Very nice.
If he kills this, he's going to be at 11 bosses, and he's got some options for really quick boss kills. So I would be tempted to load up Party 2 if I'm Jaimien, go and kill Toilet Atma, and then warp out and go back up the tiers.
Yeah, so really smart Jaimien decides, I need to kill one of the Stooges now, and I will bring Edgar back later. The Stooges will only use that Delta hit attack when all 3 of them are alive. So instead of wasting a turn to get Edgar back and then potentially getting Delta hit a second time, he decides, let's kill Curly right away, and this way I don't have to deal with Delta hit a second time. Meanwhile, it is Senor Scrontium Sir Senor Senior Behemoth. Or Sriracha Behemoth.
Superb Behemoth. So one of the quirks of this flag set is that the no undead flag is turned on. So normally what you could do is give this guy a revivify and he'll die. But since that flag is turned on, you cannot do that. Instead, you have to cast like Doom or X-Zone, and he is in fact vulnerable to both of those. But he's also vulnerable to having his HP reduced to 0.
As most bosses are.
It's kind of a bug in the game where when you reduce a creature's HP to 0, it dies.
Rather unfortunate.
So, yeah. I really wish that Squaresoft would get back on this. It's been like, how many, almost 30 years? Like, you gotta fix your bugs, homie.
Alright, so Fleury taking a save, and it looks like he's going to peek what these bosses are here with his left side and right side. I like doing this if I'm doing this strategy. It wastes about 20 seconds, but oh my goodness.
And that's exactly why you peak that boss.
Wow. That
So
is... yeah.
if you were figuring out where to put your dice thrower, probably going to be on the poltergeist side.
So yeah, we'll see what this other boss is. And all right, so we know we need fire on the right side for Umaro, and we need thoughts and prayers on the left side with poltergeist.
Well, we've seen fire, and we've seen rain.
Meanwhile, Jaimien just moving around some Espers here. We'll see if he decides to go right into the tower and do, as you mentioned, go to the middle party to take on the Toilet Atmos spot. Not only does it count as a boss, it does not count against your progression, and you get a high tier item plus a save point. So we'll see if that's the way to go. Meanwhile, Fleury is going to have to divide up his 3-person party into essentially 2. I expect him to maybe take Shadow and Edgar on the left side and deal with Umaro on the right side from Strago. If we have any fire spells, if we don't, then maybe Shadow's got to go on the right side to throw those fire skeins against Umaro.
That's what I would be tempted to do. Have Umaro or have Shadow throw the skeins. Put Gogo over there to mimic the skein. And then just keep that offering fixed dice user over on the left side.
Yeah, so Jaimien hopping in the tower at 1:14:20. Just as a note, it is about 10 minutes or 10 and a half minutes after Fleury has entered the tower. But remember, Fleury had to walk through the entire thing, whereas Jaimien can get away with just fighting one boss and then warping out to the statues. However, we also have the hindsight of omniscience. We know that poltergeist spot is going to be very rough. So this will be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question in the chat, Magre, did we leave a Moogle Charm on the airship with the Yeti? I don't think so, because he did not put Yeti in his party and he was walking throughout the tower earlier. And here we go. So, knowing that Poltergeist is here, he equipped a Rage Ring on Strago, which will absorb fire and nullify lightning magic. Great heads-up play. And he's got our Offering Fixed Dice user here. So, that's how Fleury is going to take out Poltergeist here.
Yep, seems good. We do have Bio available on one of the Espers, and I'm not sure if Strago learned it. It shouldn't matter all that much. Offering Fixed Dice is gonna just it'll do all the work.
Ooh, very nice. 4/4/4. Yeah, I don't see Bio here. Flare will work. Poltergeist has a lot of magic defense, so Flare will ignore magic defense, even though it's got a little bit of a lower spell power. It ignores magic defense, so that more than makes up for it. Meanwhile, Jaimien looks like he's got his party on the right-hand side, so he'll take on the Inferno spot. I'm going to double-check how many bosses he has here, and we'll see what he decides to do.
Yeah, it should be 11, so I wonder if he just hasn't been keeping track of it. I know that when I started doing these flag sets, that was a very common problem for me, was just straight up not remembering that this skip happened at 12 bosses, so...
Yep, you are correct. He does have 11 bosses. So we'll see after Welk that he'll unlock his skip, and we'll see if he decides to head up to the statues, or if he wants to continue along with this party of 2 here.
And then the Crack Pow for Poltergeist there on Fleury's side, so...
Yeah, I would have to imagine Jaimien almost has to go all the way up with this party, because he can't split his party up into 3, because he's only been working with 2 characters for this seed. Right?
Yeah, you might have a point.
I mean, we did get Strago and Sabin both at the end of the seed, so they'll be pretty decent levels, but they won't have any of the spells that we have floating around taught on any of them. I think Strago has X magic. I don't remember what Sabin has. I think it was like Control or something. Gutter tier.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. The only thing that Sabin had was like 49 vigor, which is pretty good, but with being unsure with what he can equip and just in general picking him up pretty late. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Umaro don't play.
Umaro just not messing around with Gogo, just forces him to take a dirt nap.
Yeah, Umaro can be tough at higher scaling because of that tackle move. It's just a really high physical damage attack, and even with the image status, if it gets broken, you're in deep trouble. Because Umaro does like to take 2 physical attacks per turn if he's not going to cast any magic.
Yep. We are in green cherry phase, so Fleury should be able to kill him before he starts jumping.
Interestingly, he's swinging away with the Ragnarok versus throwing anything at Umaro.
Yeah, I don't hate the play. With enough swings versus enough throwing of fire schemes, I think that the 2 would come out pretty equally in terms of damage, just because of the flare procs.
Yeah. Well, also, fight is a lot faster than throw. I think getting Gogo on the ground in the first turn definitely changed his strategy there. Maybe he was going to do more throwables if he has somebody to mimic the throw, right? So.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But that's actually pretty good news, because now Shadow just gets the full brunt of the EXP.
How are his levels looking? 40 for Shadow, and probably around the same for the others, so he's in a decent spot for Kefka here. You usually want to be mid-30s at the bare minimum for the... Oh my goodness, that's a hyperdrive.
It got to be a little scary for Jaimien here.
Alright, so 1:20:20 is when Fleury steps on the switches. That is a 16.5 minute Kefka Tower. Not too bad considering that we had Poltergeist and Fun Baba and Umaro, all, later World of Ruin bosses to go toe-to-toe against.
Oh, yeah. And in general, Fleury's played this seed very well. Coming up against that Magimaster early, making the call that, maybe he wasn't going to get through, so instead of even trying it, just warping out. Yeah, I like it.
Little Kenny Rogers action. He's got to know when to hold them and to fold them.
And know when to walk away and when to run.
Alright, so now we are on to the final battle here. Tier 1 is mostly physical offensive attacks. Thank goodness we have the auto image status on. And the head is weak to fire, so that's why you see the fire rods coming out here. Want to kill that first, because if you leave the head up, then you'll get death countered with Quake. The long arm is susceptible to instant death, although I don't think we have any in this seed. Also susceptible to Petrify, but I don't know if we have Break either. And then that balled up fist is susceptible to water. Oh, very nice.
Ooh,
Ooh,
strong.
Like that. Great heads up play there from Fleury, knowing that the scimitar does proc cleave, essentially. So that's that part of the fight dead. Very nice.
I love it. That's fancy.
Meanwhile, speaking of instant death, we've got the second phase of Sriracha Behemoth over here. It's also susceptible to instant death. But again, I don't think we've got it, so that's unfortunate. I also forgot that Senor Behemoth was the other boss fight. So yeah, 4 out of the 5 bosses in KT were World of Ruin sort of Ender game bosses. That Senor Behemoth fight can get out of hand if he casts like his non-elemental stuff.
Yep, because that'll scale up to. I mean, he's cast Goner, he's cast Ultima.
Uh-oh. I don't think Jaimien went up and saved after he beat Behemoth. We'll see if he saves outside the tower here.
I sure hope he does.
Oh no. He's going to be in a route for a Rude Awakening, depending upon what he puts on that side. Yeah, so Shadow's going to go on that side, which is nice because he's going to have Throw, but he's also just got Shadow. No meat shields.
Wow, that is very, very risky and probably unnecessarily so. Level 42.
Yeah, because the problem is you need to have your Moogle Charm on, right? So just throw it on a meat shield, and then you could have 2 relics on your main thing.
Stop Blaster incoming. Oh no, yeah, that's...
Yeah, the other thing is, when you have multiple party members, it allows magical attacks to do split damage instead of full damage. So that shrapnel there did full damage versus if it was cast on his entire party, it would have done split damage. Alright, and it looks... Ooh! Got a little Zone Seek action. It's not something you see very often there on Fleury's screen. So Zone Seek will cut your... will increase your magic defense, or it will cut magic spells by 33%. Tier 1 doesn't cast any magic, though. So maybe, you know, if you do have Zone Seek, use it on Tier 2 or Tier 3 to cut into the magic spells that those tiers will inevitably hit you with. 5k per Ninja Star, though, so maybe this fight won't take as long as we thought it was going to here on Jaimien's screen.
Well, the worry was that, like, you know, the Stop Blaster combo... I didn't know what his elemental protection was, so like this S-Cross was very dangerous. Shrapnel was still very dangerous. He cast Meteo later on in the fight, which can scale up to all kinds of nasty stuff, but it gets through it.
Very, very nice. So question from the chat, from CC Runner. Stop Shadow immune, or did he just get lucky? No, he does not have... even running shoes wouldn't help. He just got lucky, right?
He got very lucky.
I don't even think a ribbon will allow you to block Stop. Because ribbons are for like status effects versus, or rather for, you know, permanent status things like you see the Imp over there on Fleury's screen. Ribbon would prevent Imp, but it doesn't prevent things like Stop or haste or slow or anything like that. Although now I'm not sure. This is something I'm going to have to look up before I get yelled at in the comment section, huh?
The short of it is that Shadow did get very lucky there.
Yes.
He does have some level of magic evade, so yep, just lucked out.
Yeah, so Stop can be absorbed with Runic or reflected with Reflect. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any real counter to it other than Reflect. So yeah, he got lucky. So Tier 2 now for Fleury, and Mog is down, but Mog is his extra character, so I don't even think he's going to bother getting him back up.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. So one of the funny things that you can do is put a safety bit on a character, and then if that character gets stopped, they will get targeted with Blaster, but since they can't die from instant death attacks, Poltergeist will just continually shoot blasters at that person. At least for as long as
until the
duration
stop
of
wears
stop.
off. Yeah.
Yeah.
So stop gets compounded with things like slow or haste, which is why Poltergeist stop never lasts as long as your character's stop does, because he has auto haste on himself essentially. So his stop usually lasts 2 or 3 turns, whereas your character lasts forever, what it seems like. And if you have slow, it's forever times 2. Which is somehow longer. You know, there's a lot of math theory that goes into multiplying things by infinity, right? But,
oh, yeah.
Anyway.
There's countable infinities and uncountable infinities. Some of them are technically bigger than others, but to a layperson, you know, what does that even mean?
It just means you're going to be sitting there for a while. That's what it boils down to. So yes, if your character is stopped and you cast haste on them, they will return to normal faster, but it won't cure stop right away. The only cure for stop is if you use the Dispel cast. And there's Umaro down for Jaimien as well, so Jaimien will be in the final fight when Fleury is, so one false move by Fleury, especially on tier 3, which is where things can start to go haywire rather fast. And this is anybody's race.
So, biggest problems for Jaimien right now is that, again, he only has 2 real characters. He does have
slightly higher levels. Yeah, he has slightly higher levels.
And he has slightly higher levels. And he did pick up Golem, so he will have backup plans, but he's only going to be using 2 characters for basically this whole thing. You see Sabin there. Sabin isn't real.
He's like a bird. Birds aren't real.
Yeah.
So Jaimien did his Kefka Tower climb in 15 minutes and 10 seconds. So definitely faster than Fleury, in spite of the fact that it was only 2 characters. So interesting there. Fleury, meanwhile, is done with tier 2 and is moving on to tier 3. So the thing that Fleury has working against him is while fixed dice does do a lot of damage, it's also a lot slower. So we'll see if that comes back to bite him, but I just think having the 3 character versus 2 character advantage is going to be too much for Jaimien to overcome here.
Yeah, I think like you said, at this point it's going to take a wipe of some kind, either to tier 3 or to final Kefka. So we'll see what tricks Jaimien has up his sleeve, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think the damage that Jaimien has is going to be enough to overcome the lead that Fleury built up. It's all offering and all fixed dice. Sometimes that's all it takes.
And here comes the test. The Meteos come out, and this is when tier 3 starts to get nasty. We do have Golem, which is great for calmness protection, as only Edgar is left with his image status. But it comes down to how good his dice rolls will be.
And so far, they're not looking too good, Schwantz. But he got lucky, didn't get a counter.
Oh yeah, there we go. Nothing like a sharp stick in the eye to take care of business. And that is Fleury heading up to final Kefka, which again, it's sort of a push and pull dance sort of situation here. Kefka does start out with casting Fallen 1 after the first turn if you don't do more than 30,000 damage. If you do more than 30,000 damage, he'll start countering with things like Havoc Wing and Hyperdrive, the best single target both physical and magic spell in the game. When he gets underneath 10,000 HP, we'll start countering with things like Ultima, which is almost assuredly a party wipe. However, there is some opportunity in here where you can get away with attacking during the charge up for his ultimate attack called Goner. He will not counterattack. So that's when we want to hit him with everything he's got.
It's worth noting that Fleury's Edgar has perfect defense, which means that any physical damage that he takes will be reduced to 0 because he's in the back row. So, if in basically the worst case scenario where Shadow and Strago die, Edgar can basically live forever.
Yep, so it looks like he's waiting here for this Goner. Remember, we do have a bunch of shields to throw at people, so that could also work here. Wanting to be very cautious, and we do have a Mega Elixir, because both of our runners... Actually, that's not true. Only Fleury defeated Magimaster, so Jaimien does not have the advantage of that Mega Elixir to come out of the Fallen One phase, and we do have Cure too, but I don't see it on his character there, so maybe... Maybe we don't have any Cure Magic for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what items they have in their inventory.
Yep, chuck in all of our rods now. Unfortunately, Goner will come out, so it'll be time for Fleury to heal up again. Because remember, we don't want to risk an Ultima counter or any nasty things like that either.
Yeah, I think that the Edgar would live through an Ultima. At least with everybody else alive. And he's going to go for it. I like the play. Unfortunately, the dice seem to disagree. There's Avenger. It's going to strip off the auto images.
Alright, here comes the charge up for Goner, and we see some of the shields coming off, so this will hurt Kefka a lot. However, it also means that we're going to be hurting a lot more after Goner, and that's a big beefy dice roll, so I think this might be GG.
I certainly hope so. Looks like it. And yes, indeed, there is the crack pile for Fleury at about the 135.29 mark. Fantastic time.
There it is. Get your GG's chat for Fleury taking home the W here in this first of 2 races. We'll have the next race for you coming right up after this. We'll see if he wants to do an interview. And we'll finish on watching Jaimien finish up here, who is not very far behind in spite of, the struggles that he went through towards the middle of the season. Oh, no!
You hate to see it.
Yikes. So this is the frozen status, or the freeze status, and the only way you can get out of freeze status is to cast fire on your party. Is Tiger dead? Is Magic dead? No, Tiger must not be dead, because he must have cast frozen.
Tiger isn't dead, so S-Cross could come out and unfreeze him.
Let's hope for that.
Magic could cast Fire 3. I don't know if Tools is dead either, so Atomic Ray would unfreeze him.
Yeah, this is big oof.
But, I mean, it looks like just like Fleury's Edgar, Jaimien's Edgar will also be taking 0 damage. And, hey, we are joined in the booth by Fleury. Fleury, GG, and congratulations on your first place win.
Thank you. Didn't really feel like a win. That was a slog. But happy to get through it, and happy that it was good enough to get through.
I was gonna ask how you felt about the seed, overall, but you said it felt like a slog.
I mean, decent, pretty solid opening. You get fixed dice and rags right off the bat. But there was never really a good answer for third character. Like, I really didn't want 29 magic Strago. But what else was there? Turned out you could have probably gotten away with 2 manning the seed, but Spicy Chicken and Kefka Tower now lives there on this flag set, apparently. So
It's funny that
that
you
would have
say
been a
that.
problem.
It's funny that you say that because that's exactly the strat that Jaimien went with.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, I've watched a couple of the runners basically do, if that third party is booty, if that third party member is just not good, then go with 2. If you find someone good, great. If not, then just go through it. And I got a little lucky in that the KT routing I decided to take allowed me to peak like the other 2 bosses. So when I saw Spicy Chicken and I'm like, okay, I can take 2 party members there, that's going to be a pretty big time save, because I think a lot of us in practice have gotten to experience that, and it's not fun. So yeah, that helped, but really, like, there just was no good answer for damage on the Kefka fight. Like, relying on offering fixed dice and rags hits, not what you want going in. But
I'm a little bit more of a fixed dice apologist. I don't hate it as much as some people do in our community. That being said, there have definitely been seeds where the fixed dice rolls and their poorness were the direct reason why I lost or wiped to seeds. So yeah,
I thought for sure Kefka 4 lining up at around 42k of damage, and I see 500, 400, 800, 1000. I'm like, oh, here comes Ultima. Great. And it didn't happen. I was like, oh, thank goodness. But yeah, like, the dice are great once you hit like level 12 or so, and up until pretty much endgame. But endgame, it's not good. And I could have like relied on rag swings, but even that's not fun either. So
Yeah, fixed dice
yeah,
offering is certainly not the fastest way to go, even if the damage is there too, right? And I think that's definitely what we saw.
yeah, it's like flare, right? Like, it's a good spell, and it'll get you past a couple of fights that you can't otherwise get, but you could just feel the clock on every single cast time. And it's the same way with the dice. It's like, I'm doing damage to them, but I'm also doing damage to my timer.
yeah, I don't know. What you said about Flare, where it was fine. I think that's how I feel about fixed dice. Like, it's fine. If I have no other offense, fixed dice is perfectly serviceable. But you really would rather have something else.
Yeah, so I'm curious as to, you did go and pick up Go-Go relatively early in the seed. Were you thinking about maybe using Go-Go for their ability to mimic throws? Or was it, Go-Go stats are trash, even if they can do that, it's still going to be not as much damage as, let's say, Strago casting 2 spells at a time.
Yeah, I felt that, like, the stats on both characters are going to be bad regardless, and the hope is maybe I can pull a magic power +2, and all of a sudden Strago's pretty good, or maybe get a good magic power weapon. Neither of those things happened, so, like, looking back, like, mimicking high-end throws is probably a little more effective than an X Magic Cure 2 guy who can kind of play as a safety, but that's this rando is not, the safety is not really the way you want to go about it. So
Safe as death.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think in the end, Go-Go is probably the way to go, but just in practice so often, he's fantastic for the first 30 minutes, and then he's just there. And I needed something, even a remote possibility of something being a little better than that. So...
Yeah, there was a lot to like about, what you did with your run. You looked for the Katana Soul and found him basically in its vanilla spot. You did Y remove the boss on the floating continent. I'm guessing it's because you started adding up your counts and you're like, well, if I go up the middle, I'll get to 12, so I don't need to beat this boss anyway, right?
Yep.
And peeking the bosses certainly helped before you dove back into the tower with the skip. Is that something you usually do?
That's a little bit of free enterprise carrying over.
There you go.
For me, I think going in and peeking chances when you can peek a boss to do it, and it was probably the best boss you could have found for that strategy. Other than maybe Doomgaze.
Doomgaze was Kefka and Arsh, I think. Yeah.
So. Yes, it was.
Gosh. Fantastic.
Yeah, so there were bad bosses throughout this seed.
Yeah, so I don't feel too bad about like a time of 135, but I know in practice and in the times around the tournament, I was around anywhere from 118 to 128, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I think this is an okay time for this seed. And yeah, I really, really like the addition of tying the Kefka skip to boss totals. That is really well thought out. Kudos to whoever came up with that idea, because it gives you a lot of options. Like, do you want to just run through the tower normally? Do you want to like take a full party through the middle? Toilet Atma is now like a thing can be beneficial. So really, really like that, and hope it keeps on going forward.
Whew.
Awesome.
Wow, Jaimien just ate an Ultima, but there you go. He has also done 144.55 is his total as well. Very nice.
Awesome. Well, I will. I'll dip out so y'all can interview him, and I appreciate you taking the time to do an on-the-spot restream. A lot of fun, and yeah, we'll see y'all for the next race.
Yeah, thank you, Fleury, for volunteering to be on stream. Can't have the races without the runners volunteering, so really appreciate that as well.
Anytime. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
All right, catch you later. Good luck next round. All right, we'll see if we can get Jaimien in for an interview. Meanwhile, just some programming notes. We're going to start up, I think, the next race pretty soon here, so I'm going to start cropping and doing all that other fun stuff. So, Gar, why don't you tell us about... why don't you tell us about the next race here?
I would be more than happy to tell you about the next race. So, this will be another Shadows Ninja Star race. This will be between Jex Vrock, the Mega Elixir champion, and Ensign Wesley, the newly appointed Elixir promotee. So, I was in Ensign Wesley's division last season for Ultros League. He is a very, very competent racer, very fast, knows a lot about the game. And I've also raced Jex Vrock a good number of times. He is also very good, as evidenced by his placement in the Mega Elixir tier, our highest tier of racer. So this ought to be a pretty phenomenal match. I would like to see... some really nasty things head their way, but that's just because that I'm vindictive, and I'm mean, and I'm rude. But that's coming up here in a few minutes, and we are joined in the booth by Jaimien. Jaimien, congratulations. How do you feel about that seed?
That was a real tough seed. It was fun. It was a lot closer than I expected to because I'm sitting here at 125 getting to the tower and I'm like, why is the seed not over?
Congratulations.
Why hasn't he won yet?
Yeah, we saw you kind of uh, bruising your knuckles against Magimaster there for a bit. What were you thinking for that?
Oh, I was thinking like, well, I think I have the stuff to do it, but then after the second death, I was like, I feel underleveled. I need to do something else. So that's when I was like, okay, I'll just drop Amaro and completely run MTech just to see if what I'm missing is in there, and I could just completely skip the Cliff and Amaro.
Um, and you were you still thinking that even after going up the cliffs and seeing the Mog in the cave?
Yes, I was still thinking that. I was like, okay, I still had a couple more things left, still had a couple more checks to do. So I wasn't too worried. But I think if I was able to get past Magimaster, I think I probably would have done a whole lot better.
Well, I think you did fine. Actually, I was really impressed that you were able to take a two-man party uh, into Final Kefka and come out with a win. That is not an easy thing to do. Uh,
No, not especially after I did it mid game. After just deciding to be like, look, I'm under leveled. I need to get levels quickly.
yeah. So yeah. Well, were you thinking at any point during the seed about adding a third character? I think Gogo would have been like the a decent choice there, just because of his ability to mimic throws, and you can give him throw or whatever, and he's basically a second crappier thrower.
No, I was gonna try and stay with the third man, and because I've been practicing that a lot, or I've been doing the three man, and then I don't know, I just felt like it was the right move for me to make to go into a two-man party instead of the three.
Did the poltergeist terrify you?
Oh my God, when I first saw that, I scared my wife half to death because I was like, oh no, this is not what I saw, what I envisioned.
Oh, geez.
That did scare the crap out of me.
Honestly, it scared the crap out of us too. We were waiting for like the stop blaster combo, and we did see the one stop come out, and fortunately it missed. So
Yep.
uh,
Unfortunately, the Frozens didn't miss during the climb.
yeah, I've got my own thoughts about being frozen, but I won't share them here. I will get banned from the stream. So
Well, at least I got frozen after I finished off Tools and Magic.
so unfortunately, you will be now in the lower bracket. Also,
Uh,
hello, I'm down there too.
yep.
Uh,
I don't think we're facing. I think I'm
Yep,
facing Mark next week.
welcome to the club, Jaimien.
yeah.
Yep, and
Um,
his starts are next week, so that's going to make it even more interesting.
yeah, well, that was my next question. With the sensor flags coming up, one, have you done a whole lot of practice with sensor flags? And two, how do you feel about them?
Uh, I'm I'm kind of approaching it. I don't like them, but I think it's just because there's too much random in my random. But I'm kind of approaching it like a barter seed on steroids with how much things can potentially cost. So if I can get like cheap crap I can sell for a lot just to get at least one or two of something I really need, I can do that. But that's how
You
I've been approaching all my practices on that.
you're not the first person to make the comparison between the sensor seeds and like a typical barter seed. So, but yeah, nah, same camp as you. I think it's difficult to prepare for a sensor seed just because of how many random things are in there. Which it sounds kind of silly given that we are a randomizer community, but you play the seed and you kind of know what I mean. So.
Oh, yeah, I think I finally passed one. I've been having trouble passing them, and I passed one finally this week at a 2 hour mark. So I'm definitely gonna want to try and run a couple more before I think I'm facing Mark next with the is my next match.
Oh, and Mark is a very talented runner. So
Yeah, no, I looked at that. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, me and him,
Let me
we're
check.
definitely doing some battles in our Elixir A this season, Ultros League. So you'll have your work cut out for you, but it'll be fun because with the nature of the Coliseum, it's sort of a 1v1 where any racer could win, right? And not only
Yep.
can you play the seed, you can also play the runner that you're running against. So it gives the underdogs, I think, sort of a little bit of an advantage there. So I'm hoping to certainly utilize that in my runs going forward as well.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. This is the first time. This is my first time trying to do anything like this, so I'm having a whole lot of fun. I'm glad I'm doing this. The community's great. I'm having a blast, whether win or lose.
hey, that's what we like to hear. Well, I think that's all I had for you. Schwantz, do you have anything else for Jamie in here?
No, just a sincere thank you for allowing us to restream your race. So we can't have the races without our racers volunteering to be broadcast. So really appreciate that. And here's to hoping you do not run into another Magimaster multiple times
And
in the sets or seats.
oh, yeah, and I also appreciate you guys. With that, we also couldn't do this without you guys being able to show us off a bit.
Well, thanks a bunch. Jamie, and any final memes for us here?
I don't want to go to work, but I gotta. But again, thank you guys. I had a great time.
Thank you so much for being on the restream. It's hard to do these without racers, so we really appreciate it.
Yep, y'all take care. Have a good day.